Well, hello everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to this open house webinar. This is going out in the autumn term of the Fairplay Harp School, and today it's Sunday, the 14th of September. So it's lovely to welcome those of you who've come here live. Hello. It is your duty and your job to ask all the questions you can possibly think of during the session, because the people who are watching replay, hello, you on replay, you need them to ask your questions. So I encourage you, people who are here live, to ask the most random or the teeniest or the wildest question you think you might have in your brain about the harp school, so that you are answering the questions for the people that can't be here. They will be so grateful to you. So it gives you like a pass for a random question. It's like, well, I'm doing it for the replay people as well. So there we are. So a very warm welcome to you all. And today's session, I would love to I'm aiming to give you an overview of the Fairplay Harp School and what we've got on offer. That's the open house side of things. I'm also going to show you where you can go and have a taster lesson for any of the classes. So it means you can go in and just sort of find out a little bit of what, the content's going to be like. If you're thinking of taking a class and you're not sure which level might be good for you, it's a nice way of trying that. If you've never worked with me, I think some of you here, maybe there's some people here who've we've never had a class together even. So you really might like to go and try out my teaching. Although I'm going to do a little bit of teaching today, which brings me on to the other thing I'd like to do today. I'm going to talk to you about my 5-part note idea. So usually during these webinars, I share something that I'm feeling is useful and that I've seen work in the harp school. So we'll go into the 5-part notes as a sort of mini lesson. And again, that might bring up any questions you might have. Please do ask them as we go along. There'll be a special time at the end as well. And as I say, you're all going to get shown where you can get links to try out some of the harp classes. I've also got discount codes that I will share with you. I'll put them in the chat. You will also get this on replay. If you're on replay, you already have. Hello. And with the replay, you'll get the discount code sent through to you as well. So without further ado, that sounds like a lot as usual. So we better get going. In the chat, I would love to know what brings you here. What brings you here? What has brought you to think, yes, I'll spend an hour hanging out with Shelley on Sunday the 14th of September 2025. This, it may be that you already play the harp. It may be that you are interested in learning about playing the harp. It may be that you have a certain struggle and you're like, I wonder if I can find some thoughts here. Or maybe you've just heard from someone else about the classes and you're genuinely just sort of interested in what it's like. If you work on popping that in the chat for me, that would be amazing. While you're doing that, I shall tell you a tiny bit about me. And this is obviously in the chat. You can share a bit about you as you tell me what brings you here. So my name's Shelley Fairplay, many of you will know, and I have been wanting to play the harp since I was 3 years old. I learned piano first and eventually, well, not eventually, very luckily, met a harpist very randomly one day when I was 9, and the world was shining in my favour because she had a space and was able to take me on board, and I learned with her, and it was wonderful. It's Aldith Smith, and this opened up a whole world, a whole lifetime of harping to me, and for which I'm truly grateful. And I have lots of experience then. I followed the exam systems in the UK, and I did grade 0 to 8, got my grade 8 distinction, and then I did my degree in music, and then I did a master's in music, and I did a teaching diploma in instrumental teaching, and then I did a full teaching course for primary school teaching, which you may notice. Sorry, everyone. And so then I teachers trained, and that really opened my eyes, the teachers training, to the fact that we all have such different learning styles, and it really made me start to explore different ways of teaching. And I love teaching you guys. I love teaching you to play the harp. I love teaching you and sharing my enthusiasm and my love of the harp. My dream as a teacher is to get you to the point where you don't need me. I was most inspired quite young, quite early on, with a message of the fact that we should, as teachers, our goal is to equip you in every way that we can so that you surpass us in your ability and in your knowledge, and that you go further. And so that is my goal. It's to turn you into rounded musicians. I'm not teaching you to rote learn times tables styly. I'm not saying, right, put your finger here, do this. If you hold your arm that way, you will do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm teaching you to be able to figure out any piece for yourself. That's my goal, to be able to search and choose genres and know that there's such a variety out there. And so that's my goal as a teacher and my dream as a teacher. I'm really dedicated to the 3 strands approach. So I was taught very classically, which I I absolutely owe most of like what I do obviously to that. So this is not me saying that was a bad path, but I did not learn to improvise and I did not learn to play well by ear. And this was then something that I had to seek out post university, post my master's, not even my degree. After that, I suddenly started going to harp festivals and realizing I had these big knowledge gaps. And I've really enjoyed exploring that and all the different ways that that's taken me since. So I believe in teaching from the beginning, reading music, playing by ear, and improvising, all wrapped up in working on technique that enables us to make a good sound. And the biggest thing that you will, many of you will have heard me say before, I know lots of you do know me quite well in the room, or very well. I always say that I want you to be able to make beautiful music, and I want you to be comfortable while you are doing it. Now, this is the fact that the beautiful music, yes, we probably do need to think about our technique because to get the best tone from the harp. I also want you to be comfortable while you're doing it. So everyone has different size arms, legs, fingers, different things going on, different operations they may have had. So we all have things that are, our way of that we need to do them to be comfortable. That's what that's sort of encompassing. And then there's the mindset, which again, I think is something we can miss out in our journey. So it's that making sure that we are being, holistic. I don't know whether that's the right term to use, but, really thinking about our musical roundedness, but also our well-being within that. And I think that this is really then enables you to thrive rather than survive. Some of you will have come to that webinar recently. So I'm going to now pop back into the chat and see what has brought the live people here while I've been waffling away. Let's have a look. So Kimberly's here as a harp school student. Yes, brilliant. So hello, Kimberly. Kimberly has learnt, you came in and did Start Harp 1, didn't you? You've actually been in every single class. So if anyone has a question, Kimberly will have done the class. I think there's not a single class I've ever written that you've not done. So thank you for being here, Kimberly. But also I'm going to be very mean now. And she won't mind. Kimberly's very lovely. Anyone got a question they want to ask somebody who's done the classes? Kimberly will definitely be happy to answer. Sarah says curiosity and interest. Oh, two of my favourite things. Wonderful. Well, it's lovely that you're here with your curiosity and your interest. Janet says you're already enjoying the Start Harp and you're here to support. Brilliant, Janet. I think you've also probably done all of the classes and you're in Coach and Connect, aren't you? So thank you again. And ask. I'm sure Janet won't mind if you ask her questions as well. Julie says how you want to know how the school works as you do not have a one-to-one teacher. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you'll just sort of get a feel for the different ways that I support harpists online. And then you can sort of see, what might be useful for your journey. And Mally says, here you are here as a member of the Harp School. Thank you. And same for Mally. I think you've done everything too and completed lots of the courses. So here to support new people and have a good start to the new term. Brilliant. So 5-part note reminder is always good, isn't it, as well, Mally? But thank you. So again, any questions? I'm sure Mally will be happy to answer too. And Cherry says, curious as to what you teach. Excellent. Okay, so that's brilliant. So hopefully, again, when I've shown you into the classrooms a little bit, you'll get a bit more of a feel, Cherry, for how that all maps out. Claire says, you love playing the harp. Hello, me too, yay. And I'm an activities leader in a care home. Ah, brilliant. So you take it and play most days. Fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. Got to level 2 with the Little Harp Social. I think maybe, Claire, you've messaged me about this. Yes, so this is wonderful and you want to come back to it now. You've been so busy that you've not really progressed. Okay, so it's just, that showing up thing, isn't it? Sometimes it's so hard because life is just like there's so many demands on us. So it happens to all of us. Lapsed and just playing basics as brass banding has taken over. How exciting. However, not now I have another chance to play most days. Great. And enable people with dementia to play. Wonderful. Yes, and music and it unlocks so many wonderful things for dementia patients, doesn't it? Like singing when you maybe can't speak anymore and all that. So all this magic that music that you can give. So that's phenomenal. I want to push a bit further. Great. After your webinar last week, I've been doing 20 minutes a day. Yes. And I've already seen a huge improvement. Hurrah. I'm not sure whether to just go for the level 2 or go to the full blast into coaching scheme. Tempted just to go full blast and do the monthly payment scheme. Okay, brilliant. Hopefully by this then end of this, Claire, you'll have an absolute sure idea of which is right for you at this moment in time. But I'm also going to put a link in the chat where anyone can book a coaching call, a 15-minute session with me. So if you're still unsure, I encourage you to do that. Now, I've not heard from everyone, so I'm just going to assume everyone else is here because they love harps, and it's another hour thinking about harps. Shall we go with that for now? That'll do, won't it? As a nice blanket. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Fabulous. So in a moment, I'll go into this 5-part note overview. I want to read to you a little statement I wrote a while ago, just because it sort of encompassed all the things that I value so much. So it says here, in all the courses in the Fairplay Harp School, they contain tunes to enjoy and playing on our beautiful instrument. However, there is, of course, so much more to being a rounded, happy harpist than rote learning the tunes. And this is what we delve into and nurture as part of the Fairplay Harp School in all the classes, to be honest, and particularly in Coach and Connect. All the courses are carefully constructed for harpists looking to invest in being rounded and happy musicians. The goal is to be able to confidently approach any new piece when reading, playing by ear or improvising with the skill set and knowledge required. And as Claire has pointed out, there are 2 main ways that you can do that. Join us and be part of that. One is that you find out which class you think you want to take right now, or that feels good right now. So if it's, I think of them as character classes, so like the pop class or the modes class or harmony or whatever it is, or the progressive start harp classes, you find a 12-week or a 6-week and you take it and it guides you through. And I'll talk more about that shortly. Or you may decide you want to join Coach and Connect, which gives you a sort of a guided and supported learning in all areas, but particularly if you have a path. So actually, Claire, mentioning wanting to really be, you'll be taking the harp in, you'll be playing in the care setting. So, you have that very specific path. Now, doing Start Harp 2 is going to be amazing for working on a path and improving your rounded musicianship skills and looking at technique and everything. But Coach and Connect would allow us the time to really dive into working on tunes that you'll be and activities and things that you might be using if you wanted that. So you can see how both classes, both ways can really be effective for people. It's just choosing the one that's right for you, to do with your time in your life and your busyness and your goals. So before we dive in any more on that, I want to talk about the 5-part note, because I promised I would do a little mini lesson here live, and then I'm going to share with you some links where you can do any of the classes. You can do a mini lesson as well. So it's just something that I find really useful to think about. So thinking of the 5-part note. First of all, this does not need to feel overwhelming, because am I expecting you to be playing, fast and flashy tunes and thinking individually about 5 things for each of those fast ripples you might do? No, I'm not. But there is a time and a place where it's very useful. So here's what I'm going to get you to do. If you have your harp, you can do this with me. And if you don't, air harp it. Okay, so the first thing is to think with the 5-part note that we hover. Okay, so one of the steps to creating our sound is to hover. Okay, so I arrived. What did you see first on the screen, Cherry? Was it my thumb? Yes. Okay. So yes, thank you, Janet. Janet's showing me your thumb. So arriving ready. So instead of coming to the harp, if I was going to place, I do this probably even now, but I hope I don't. But I certainly know there was a phase where I did. Arriving at the harp, you put your fingers on, and then you pick out the notes you want, and then you go, oh, actually, I meant to have my thumb up here. Oh, maybe I should relax my elbow. Oh, I'd better drop my fingers a bit more. And so you've arrived, and then you've done lots of stuff. But the difference between doing that and then shuffling everything around and getting ready is that you arrive with your hand in the position ready. So I want you to experiment with this to your current level. You're going to hover. If you're a complete fledgling or you don't have a harp, just hover finger 2. If you are intermediate, maybe an early beginner, actually, you could you could hover a triad shape. And if you are a more advanced player, find something a bit awkward, like a first inversion 7th chord. Challenge yourself a bit, okay? So get your hand ready in the air, and we're going to be thinking of the shape. So I'm going to go for the triad, actually. If I'm going to hover the triad, I want to think about the knuckles bending here, hovering. I'm not touching the strings, but look, I'm leaving the gap that I'm going to need, and I've got my thumb high. So I'm having my thumb high as well. So I've already got that ready. I'm thinking about having a smooth wrist. I'm not thinking about my sitting. Naughty me today. I'm going to bring my hand up with my sitting position good as well. I'm still not touching the strings. Now, we can affect our tone, so you can just experiment with lying your hands on your knees and coming back to whichever your shape is that you're just working on now. By the way, shapes is another thing that I go on about all the time. Okay, so you can just practice that. Now, if I am finding this shape and hovering. Where I hover is going to change the tone. So if we're thinking about tone, if I play, you know this, I know you do guys, but this is just one of the steps. If we hover and we hover low, I'm going to go in and play low, where my tone isn't so rounded. If I hover in the middle and land in the middle, I'm going to get the roundest sound. If I hover a bit high, I might get the bitey sound at the top. So the hover helps us with the tone before we've even touched the harp. Isn't that mad? So it's helped you with technique. It's going to help you to get good tone when you do land, because you're choosing the point that you're coming in at. So everybody has to have another go. Think about coming in on that middle line. It's an imaginary line down the harp for the center of the strings, thumb above, fingers below. So it's a compromise of the hand. If this is the middle line, that the thumbs are above and the fingers are below, that's the compromise. And then it also, by preparing like this, it helps with the buzzes when you land. So second part, hover, land. So hover, land. So we've hovered. I'm actually doing a C-E-G triad, but some of you will be doing an awkward shape because you're more advanced. Some of you will be doing a single note. That's fine. So I'm going to hover and then I'm going to land on my C, E, and G. Now, when we land, there's loads of reasons why this is great, okay? If, for instance, I've just been playing C, E, and G, and I'm going back on the same strings, I'm actually going to do this on the wires so that it makes it easier to demonstrate what I want to show you. So I'm going to go on to, I'm going to play C, E, G down here, and then I'm going to go back on. What happened? Trying to make it really obvious. I'm buzzing, aren't I? Dreadfully buzzing. I'm doing here, there we are, some nice little zips for you. So I'm buzzing. Now, if I hover, then when I go into land, if I've got my cookie cutter that's going to do a shape when I land, I can do this and then I can land. And that's much less likely to buzz. Rather than doing this and then gently trying to place 3 fingers on one at a time, that hover, land, much less likely to buzz. And the reason being, if I got to... Yeah, if you imagine that the string's vibrating, you just played it. If you go in slowly, I know that you know this really as well, it's going to go, isn't it? Whereas if you hover and you land quickly, you're arresting that string, the motion of it super fast, so you're much less likely to get that zip. So anybody who finds placing awkward, or sometimes, they find buzzing awkward, and the buzzing could be that contact buzz when you're going on the string and it's because you've touched like this, but sometimes it's the buzz because you're going, maybe you've just played B, D, F, and then you're going on the C, but you actually knock the B before you land on the C. It helps all those things because you're hovering at a distance where you can't touch the string. If I prepare in the air, which is another thing I bang on about, prepare in the air is one of the things I like to say, then you can't knock that string if you're far enough away with your hover. So even if you overshoot slightly and you would normally buzz on the string below, you're not going to because you've hovered in the air. So hover and then the land, you're less likely to buzz. Now, here's another reason why the land's important. We've hovered, we've landed, but sometimes, again, if you are a more advanced player, you could just experiment with this with 2 hands on any 8 notes, okay? In fact, let's just do it. Let me not tell you any more than that. I want you to grab, everybody can do this, whatever your level. Grab 8 notes on your harp without trying to do any chord or anything. You're just going to try and grab them and get ready to play. Okay, now I've done that and I've landed and I've got ready to play. And I want you to now think, hold them for a moment. Have you got any pressure under your fingertips? Have you squeezed already? Or are they completely relaxed on the strings? Now, actually, I put my fingers on and I'm teaching a webinar and I'm thinking about what I'm doing next. I grip my left hand super tight. It's exactly what I tell you guys not to do, okay? We want to hover and we want to land like a butterfly landing on a leaf. So, if the butterfly landed, it would barely move the leaf. So we've hovered and we've landed. We've not buzzed because we made the hover, and we've landed in a good place for good tone. And we've landed as relaxed as we can while maintaining the shape, because that keeps the tension out of your hand. You're saving yourself, ladies and gentlemen, for the moment that you do need to squeeze. If you are doing like, if you've got an orchestral part that went, I don't know, a part that went something like that, where you were constant. If you have your whole hand waiting the whole time tight, you're going to have tendinitis by the end of that that piece, okay? So we learn on a slow, steady level, hover, land, where the land you don't squeeze. So I encourage you, if this is a new idea to you, practice doing your scales where you hover, you land, you only squeeze 4, then you only squeeze 3, then you only squeeze 2, then you only squeeze thumb. And so you're working at keeping the hand as supple and relaxed when you're not, until you play, as you can. So hover, land, we've done that. I've already said the next word, squeeze. So I remember quite early on going to a masterclass and somebody saying, we don't pluck the harp, we squeeze the harp. You squeeze the sound out of the harp. And it's a great thing to think, isn't it? You squeeze the sound out. So we've hovered, we've landed, and then we squeeze. I have missed out some things in this because this could go on forever. And I've taught this in lots of places in the harp school. So I'm going to, so we've hovered, we've landed, we're squeezing. So now when we squeeze, I'm just going to reduce it to a finger 2 on a C for a moment. We can change how we squeeze, okay? So we can choose that we do a big, deep squeeze on the string. And this depends on your harp type. So if you've got a really lightly strung, very close together harp, you'll be thinking, Shelley, I can't do that. So that's fine. You have a range. You still, however loose and close together the strings are, there is a range of squeeze you can have, okay? So sometimes you might do a really deep squeeze. So give your string a big squeeze now. Squeeze it and just bounce on it like you're jumping on a trampoline. What can you do with it, okay? And so you're going to do that squeeze. Sometimes you might do a deep squeeze and you might let go when the string's almost out of alignment, that was a bit rubber bandy, but sometimes you want a really strong, powerful sound. Sometimes you might not do such a full power thing. You might do a softer one and get a different sound. So just try that as well. One of the releases that I talk about is where you do the full stretch, but then you release and you come away, you squeeze on and then you leap off like you're coming off the trampoline. And this gives you a much more rounded piano. So that squeeze, the depth of the squeeze doesn't necessarily mean loud and soft. It kind of is to do with the resonance and the tone. It's just that when we first begin, we tend to squeeze hard for forte and play very lightly for pianissimo, for instance. So that's something to think about too. Then there's the way that you articulate in a moment, and we'll get to that. Actually, there's one last thing I want to say here, sorry. Hover, land. When I talked about landing, I didn't talk about which part of your finger to land on, and that, of course, affects the tone too. So generally I teach playing on the side of the finger, on the edge initially, but sometimes I might say, well, actually a bit more, if you put a bit more finger through, you might get a bit more depth of sound. Kimberly, I know that we've done work on this, Mally and Janet, you've all done work on that. And sometimes when we're playing like a two-fay and things, we're playing on a different part of the finger as well. So that land really, that land phase is going to affect your tone from that point of view, because it's that point you're choosing how much flesh you're going to use. And the squeeze, back to the squeeze, hover, land, squeeze, third point, back to that squeeze. You can also change how you push into your finger. So just experiment being kind to your fingers, particularly if you're dehydrated. But you can play just on the fleshy pad, can't you? Or the side, or wherever you've been learning to do so. But you can push harder onto the bone, and that will give you, the initial sound will be harder. So you can actually change the tone from your squeeze at fingertip level, from how much you're going into the finger, how you're squeezing, and the angles, subtle angles, change all of that. And then, so there we are. We've done hover, land. So we've done hover, we've done land, we've done squeeze. Now, hover, land, squeeze, play. Finally, we're going to get to play, okay? So play, let's try again, just back to finger 2, or you can do any chord you like, but I'm going to go back to 2 on C. Well, I've done my hover, I've done my land, no tension, no squeeze. Now I'm putting in the pressure and the bend, squeeze, and I'm actually pushing quite hard onto the bone on this one, and I'm doing quite a big squeeze. And now I'm going to play. Now playing into the hand and down is how I teach. And I'm sure that there are many other ways lead to Rome. But now, when we play, we can bring the fingers right into the hand, which is what I would call a full articulation. So we can do that slowly, and that will have one sort of sound. So just try. I think I've called this the luxury dough, haven't I? I've talked about it like you're kneading bread dough, and you get that resistance. So it's slow into the hand, but it's full. Now try a full articulation, so right into the hand, but really fast. Bing, bing, like a firework. Really fast. Ding, ding, yeah? So you've got that slow luxury one, full into the hand, and then still with the same full articulation, you've got the fast one. The initial a bit of the note, the duh, the very first sound is different. It's, for me, on my harp, it's harder sounding, and that sometimes cuts through, and it really changes. Like when you're doing a song and you're trying to make it really lyrical, when you hear people playing, you're like, oh, that sounds so beautiful. It's like she's singing through the instrument. This is the kind of stuff that's going on. Okay, so we've talked about full articulation. You can go obviously anywhere in between, but let's now try very limited articulation. So when might you use this? If you were doing dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, the fields I wouldn't be going dashing through the snow on a one. It doesn't sound the same as dashing through the snow on a one-horse. So here, can you see I'm barely moving? And so I'm using minimal articulation. Now, you would think that would have to be quiet, and I've demonstrated it quiet to be cheeky, but I could also go... I'm still using minimal articulation. It's not necessarily related to volume. So this squeeze, the way that you hover, land, squeeze, and then play really affects the tone as well. So the intention is there right from where you've hovered. You've hovered, you've set the scene for whether you're going to buzz. You've set the scene from how the tone's going to be, where you're going to land. You're choosing the angle, whether you're, open hand, closed hand, all the other things it could be. And then you've done your land. And at this point, you've chosen how much skin to put through, how much of which bit of the thumb you're playing on, which bit of the finger you're playing on, how deep you're going to, go across the finger. Because, if you've gone through further, you're going to get a softer initial tone than if you are on the edge and do that. So, and then with your squeeze, you're choosing the depth, you're choosing when to release, you're choosing, and with the play, you're then choosing how far you bring your fingers in, how fast, and the volume and everything, when you release, all of it is affecting your tone. Okay, we've done hover, we've done land, we've done squeeze, we've done play. What could there possibly be left? Oh, Kimberly just did that. Relax. Yes, or floaty arms. So there's some of the people who have talked to this before doing lots of great things in the air at me because you know what I'm after. But the relaxation, and everyone gets taught to relax differently at the harp, or we don't if we're not careful. So I didn't learn to relax for a long time at the harp. I ended up with tendinitis. I ended up with ganglions. I ended up with an operation. I got a very cool Harry Potter scar. So please learn to relax. Hover, land, squeeze, play, relax. It's a big important part of it. Okay, I know the relaxation, and I'm usually diving into this too, but I'm not today. Comes from our sitting and our breathing and our shoulders and everything. But on a micro level, you've just played that note. You've hovered, you've landed, you've squeezed, you've played. You've got to relax. If I just bring that finger in and hold everything tight and then come back out for another go, there's tension down my arm, there's tension down here, there's tension down the back of my fingers. I can feel it there. I can feel it even in my finger. So you do your play, and then you drop everything out of your hand. Now, I have seen it taught every way. I was taught to only relax to sort of drop from my knuckles, and it's really, I didn't get it for years and years and years. I'm sure you guys are far smarter than me and will get this straight away. But, you can maintain the cup shape and the thumb up that people talk about, the spiral shape, whatever you've been taught. I think about it as handlebar gap. You can maintain this shape with a really tight hand, and you can try this for yourself if you're comfortable to do so. So I'm now holding everything tight. Tendons, back of my hand, the fingers are tight, everything. The thumb is rigid, blah, 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 blah. So this looks like the cup shape. This is, textbook sort of shape, right? But I can now maintain the shape. I'm going to just shake that all out because I really held it tight. Now I've got the shape. Can you see? It doesn't look that much different, but now you can see there's no pressure down here. These aren't bulging here. The thumb is a little bit looser. Yes, the fingers are a little bit looser, but overarchingly it's the same shape. But now, when I first did it, if I tapped my fingers, there's no give at all. If I now let go from my knuckles but maintain the shape, now I can poke my fingers. Can you see? They move. And this took me years to be able to do. So it's something you can experiment with away from the harp. How can you maintain that shape but still be able to have movement here? Then you're you're certainly more relaxed than you would be if you weren't. However, I've also seen it taught with drops. People teach drops, people teach lifts, and people teach floaty harping. And actually, I'm quite a fan of the floaty harp at certain times. I always say you need to be able to play without, but that floating in between can be very lyrical for showing sound, but it's also very good for our relaxation. I do a lot of movement, but I have learned to play without as well. When the only time I get worried about it is if people do this and their movements, how they're making the sound. We're into plucking then, not squeezing. That's the only reason why I'm flagging that. So I don't mind how you relax is what I'm trying to say. You know, if you want to read a book in between each note, you can. I just need you to switch off the muscles. So that's the 5-part note. Hover, land, squeeze, play, relax. Now you might think, well, relax doesn't really change our sound. Do you know what? It so does, because if I come off this note, I've played my note and I've kept tight and I come to the next one. Did you hear the next tone? It was bitey, it was loud, it was brash. Maybe that's what I wanted. It wasn't. I was going for the same sound. I wanted to have a row of beautiful, soft, lovely things. But if I go in tight, it's harder for me not to sound brittle. It's harder for me not to slip on the strings. So our tone is wholly affected by what you're doing with your shoulders and your body and your arms as well. So, what are the 5 parts? Shall we all say them? We've got number 1 was hover. Say it to me, shout it. Hover. Number 2 was land. Number 3 was squeeze. Number 4 was play. And number 5 was relax. Let's say it again. Hover, land, squeeze, play, relax. We're going to say that 2 more times to make sure you go away with it in your brains. Hover, land, squeeze, play, relax. One more time. Hover, land, squeeze, play, relax. Let's do it so we've reminded ourselves. Hover, and I arrived ready. Look at my thumb. Hover. I'm going to land a 4-note chord this time. Hover, land, squeeze, play. I did a rolled chord. Relax. Lovely. You can do that again. Hover, land, take there's no tension, squeeze, play, relax. Hover with your shape, land with intention to the middle of the strings, and then landing with as much flesh or bone or skin or whatever you want to put on there. Squeeze with as much depth as you want to with your desired amount. Then do the chord. I'm going to do a block one this time, and I'm going to go for a forte, and then relax. There we are. That's my 5-part note. So that is taught at various places in the harp school. I know we do it in the Power of Simplicity. Oh goodness, where else do we do it? We do it in when we talk about phrasing as well, don't we? It's in various classes, so I go into it in different depths of ideas. But that's an overview, and I think it's very useful. So go and write it on a post-it note somewhere and stick it somewhere. Even if this is the only time you and I ever spend together, I would like you to have that in your harp life. Marvellous. Okay then, so I'm just going to have a quick peek in here and just make sure I've not missed any questions. So I've got, if I can't attend live classes, everything available on Coaching Connect. Yes, okay, so yes I do. I post replays and all the archive material is there, so I'll talk about that shortly. Brilliant, and there's some lovely answers in there. Thank you everyone. Mary, do not worry, it is lovely to see you here. You've just caught the 5-part note. You've done it, I think, probably with me in person at some point. So you missed, I think, the hover and the land. So it's the thinking of, it's the land arriving ready, not arriving and shuffling our fingers ready afterwards, and the hovering with intention in the shape. Landing then, precisely where you want to on the strings, rather than, in different random places, so you don't get such a good tone. Then I think you heard the rest. Lovely, everyone. Okay, so I'm now going to jump into showing you a little bit more about the harp school. So there are various ways you can be part of the Fairplay Harp School. So the kind of the open house is to show you behind the scenes a bit. So I'm going to do a screen share now. First of all, I will show you on my website where you can look at them, and then I will show you how you get actually into the classes themselves. So I'm hoping at the moment I don't know if you can see the screen share. I'll stop that for a moment. I don't think it worked. Checked it before I began. The joy of technology. Right, it's definitely open. Let's try that one more time. Screen share, click, share. Now we're rolling. Okay, brilliant. Maybe you could see it before I couldn't. Okay, so the classes themselves, there are the 12-week classes. This is where the harp school began. So the harp school, if you go to weekly classes at the top, you've got the homepage, then you've got weekly classes. The 12-week classes is where this all began. I started with START HARP teaching START HARP 1 online for fledglings, for complete beginners. So the START HARP 1 course, lots of people come to it even if they have already been learning, particularly people who are self-taught, because we go over all the foundation techniques. But we also look at playing by ear, reading music, and improvising totally from scratch as well. And it's a 12-week class and this is where you can find the free lesson, by the way. Sorry. So I talk about this is the 3-chord trick, I think, or the triad chord in here. So if you want to go and try Start Harp 1 and a little class, if you go onto the website, weekly classes, 12-week, Start Harp 1, that's where you'll find the video lesson. And in these classes, everyone, we do... I'm going to go to the overview now, actually. In these classes, you'll find all of the classes have video lessons. They have PDF downloads. They have practice videos that you practice along with as well. You don't even have to think in these ones as to what you should practice to progress. You show up, you do the video, you will progress. Honestly, it takes you from A to B. There's a lot of spiral learning involved, which means that you visit one topic. You're not expected to memorize and perfect anything. You're expected to experience it and move on, and then experience it in a slightly different way and move on. And you'll find it very, Start Harp 1, 2, 3, very much. They go over things in different ways so that by the end of it, your learning sort of superpowers have helped guided you to learning the things that you that we intended for you to learn, but also that you have then gathered other things along the way. So Start Harp has 3 levels. And I just briefly shown you where you can see about level 1. Level 1 is the foundations, as I say. Level 2, we do, again, we work on the foundations and the basics, but it's also a bit of a repertoire builder. So I'm not sure, I don't know whether you can see any of this or whether it's far too small, but at least you can see where you can find it on fairplayharpschool.com. So we still stay in C major if you have a lap harp and you don't have levers, and you want to go a bit further, you can do this class as well. And this has a lot of tune learning in it as well. And I teach you some special, techniques for extending things. And so we go into the modes as well a little bit, because we're not changing key in that one. So it allows us to expand our harmonic horizons a little bit as well. And then in Start Harp 3, we do modulate and we learn to use our levers and our pedals. And we have extra techniques, including harmonics and some of the more advanced techniques like thumb slides, finger slides, trills. We also do a bit more theory in Start Harp 3. So we do things like the circle of fifths. If you've never heard the circle of fifths, I love the circle of fifths, and it's magical and wonderful and perfect. And so you get to learn about that. And we also start that holistic more side of things a little bit more, where we're thinking about ourselves a bit more as well. Then there is a fourth 12-week class, which is hiding here, the Flourishing Harpist. Now, the Flourishing Harpist is slightly different from the others. This one, it's not giving great view. What shall I show you? I'll show you the name of the modules. There you are. So this is slightly different. Start Harp 1, 2, and 3 are really progressive. They take you from one place, and they guide you over the 12 weeks to another, to the destination of being able to have certain skills, being able to play certain pieces. In Flourishing Harpist, it's very much written that you can take it as really quite a fledgling. Even if you've done Start Harp 1, you can go straight into Flourishing. I'd rather you didn't, but you can. It's been done, hasn't it, Kimberly? And it still works, right? Because it's very much, because of when it was released, it was very much designed to help people who are quite fledgling right through to professionals. I've had quite a few professionals take this class, and certainly quite a lot of people who are out already playing gigs and are doing some playing work, because we go from the beginning level of things, but I take you right to the degree level on the topics. Really, we go through everything. You just take what you're ready for. So, if you were doing, let's pick one. If you were doing Couch to 5K, where we talk about agility and flow, we go into some pieces that might feel very complicated to some of you, but there are easy snippets, and there are easier exercises, and there are ones with easier left hands that are designed for the more fledgling player. So Flourishing is very much all the things that I wish that I had known when I came out of university, when I realized I didn't sort of have a totally rounded education, even though I had, could go and play Debussy and whatever and concertos and things. It wasn't everything I wanted to know about music. It's also all the topics that when I went to teach out in the community, that the adult learners were saying, I wish I knew more about how to work out my own fingering. I wish I didn't struggle so much putting my hands together. I wish I could work with a metronome. I wish I didn't find it so terrifying going and playing with others. So it covers all those topics. That's what it was designed for. Let me show you behind the scenes then. Let me show you literally open house so that you can see what that looks like inside the classroom. So what I'm about to show you, because there's some of you interested in Coaching Connect, what you're about to see is one of the archive classrooms where all of the 12-week classes are stored, which is one of the things as a Coaching Connect member you get access to. So if you join a 12-week class, you get one of them and it gets delivered weekly to your inbox. Week 1. Okay, I'll learn week 1, Shelley. Oh, week 2's arrived. Oh, I'll learn week 2. Whereas with Coaching Connect, you can do those like that. You get access to everything I do, but you can also access the archives. So let's look in the archives and see everything together. So Start Harp 1. I don't know whether you can see these words. I will tell you what they say. Start Harp 1 begins very foundation, getting to know your harp, sitting at the harp, counting beats in the bar if you've never read music. It then starts you straight away with improvisation, and you get to play all over the harp, and we learn a tune by ear. So by the end of week 1, you can already improvise and play a tune. It's lovely. Okay, I always think there's such a magic to Start Harp 1. I love it when people come in and take Start Harp 1, because you move from not playing to playing Branbury's March and the Canon in D by the end of the term, but in a way where you haven't learned it, you figure stuff out, it's just, I love it. I love this magic. Anyway, so you can see there's a lot to talk about foundation technique in level 1. We work on rhythms because often people find this a bit tricky as well. I use rhythm words as well as the traditional counting systems. So if you find traditional counting systems work for you, perfect, it's all there. If you don't, there's an alternative that seems to work for everyone else, okay? You'll see there's some, even La Bamba is sneaking in here. We do all sorts of things. And let me show you a lesson. So let's go to Foundation Technique, playing with finger 4. So there's a video on this page. There's some talk about the actual, what we're going to be doing in the video. There's a photograph there of the hand. There's an exercise with some brackets on it. And so you can see, that's the way it is. And you press play on this video. I start waffling at you in a moment, I expect. And there's also a button where you can speed me up and slow me down. So if you find that I talk too fast, which I know I do sometimes when I'm excited, you can slow me down. Or if I'm playing too fast, you can slow me down. If you're finding it boring and I'm waffling,
Hi there. So
you can speed me up. So you can go to this and you can make it at 2 times speed, for instance. So the options are there for that, which I think is really valuable as well. Let's go down a bit. Let's have a look in Start Harp 3. What's going on in Start Harp 3? So we learn about, for instance, moving the levers. So there's a bit here where we talk about relative minors. Some of you may already know about that. I'm sure many of you do. This is being very slow on the download today, which is not great for me giving you an open house. It's not normally this slow. I wonder if I'm on my wrong internet. That's showing you keys. Let's see if I can find you one where we get some lovely pedal pictures. There's some lovely pedal pictures. Let's look at this one. So this one's got a little diagram you can see showing you the harp, and then I'm showing you how you set your E flat major. Those of you who are in the harp school, it doesn't normally take this long to load, does it? What's going on? Why is this very unfair today? I'm being smited by the universe, the download speeds. Anyway, never mind. It's not normally like this, but you'll see there's photographs coming up here of the levers. They normally are just there. I have no idea why they're taking so long to take, but there we are. So it's showing you how to set them, pedals, pedal diagrams, and again, usually instantly there. It's going to now show you the back of a pedal harp. So I go into as much detail as I can, and I'm really thinking about different learning skills, guys. So it's sort of, if you're a visual learner, if you like the audio side, there's and obviously we get to use the movement, the kinesthetic side a lot on the harp. But it's all in here to help you is the goal. Right, I'm going to scroll down again and show you a bit of flourishing for anyone who's interested in flourishing. Let's look at what's an interesting week. Playing with other musicians. Let's open that. So for this one, I even we talk about looking at scores, how to decipher the score, what the different things are that you might look at, and breaking it down. There's even an open rehearsal where you see me and French horn player Richard Crompton, my husband, working together, and we do a rehearsal, and you hear us talking about what we're trying to figure out together and how to make things flow, and it gives you an insight into that. There's also a section on learning what the conductor's doing and how to run your own ensemble even, or tips to how to work with other musicians. So each of them, there's a lot of content in there, and it won't always be everything that you want. But the thing is, because there's lots in there, you pick your path. If you want to know more about reading by, playing by ear, then you take that side, and the technique side perhaps. If you wish you'd learn to improvise and you want to improve your sight reading, you can follow those strands of the classes. So that's how those ones work. So as I say, with the 12-week classes, obviously they're 12 weeks long. They deliver to your inbox. You then get your video lessons, you get your play alongs, you get your PDFs. And here's the best bit, I think. This is the bit which I think sets what we do in Fairplay Harp School slightly different from some of the other offerings that you may have worked with, which is that you come live on a Sunday for the 12-week classes and for the 6-week classes. And you get to come into the Zoom room like you are now, or if you're on replay, like you are now on replay if you can't make it live, and you get to have a lesson where you show me your homework. You get homework tasks. This might sound scary, but this is the magic, okay? So if it sounds scary, you have to suspend your disbelief with me for a moment. You do a homework, you practice for some homework, and then you do a homework live, or you send me a recording if you can't attend live, and I immediately sort of look at what you've done and I say, well, this is brilliant. Your placing's wonderful here, and you're probably having a bit of trouble with the placing there because your fourth finger's come up. We need to do that. Or are you getting shoulder pain because your shoulder's coming in like this, and all these sorts of things. And you and me, we have this interaction. It's not, you've got a load of lessons and there's no interaction. And it's not just your homework that's the magic. Those of you who've done this before, you will, I'm sure, agree to this, or maybe strengthen the point for me. But you watch other people having their homework feedback, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I'm not bending from the second joint there. Oh, maybe I'm dipping my wrist and that's why I'm getting a bit of shoulder pain. Or, oh, I hadn't realised that was the root position C was the same shape as a root position F, or whatever it might be. So you see everyone else's feedback, and we have all the levels in together, which again, sounds like it shouldn't work. It's the best thing I ever did. We have level 1, 2, 3 and flourishing all together. So the fancy players, we all get reminders on foundation techniques and breathing and sitting and headspace and all of those things. The flourishers get to show the, level 1, 2 and 3 why we're bothering to hold our thumbs high. Why are we even doing that? Well, you get to see why. So it really works on the vertical learning. You get to see the different levels where we're supporting the more advanced players are encouraging and supporting the fledglings, and the fledglings are strengthening the foundations and enabling the more advanced players too. There's a real magic to it, which I never knew was going to happen until I was doing these live. So that's the 12-week classes, and they're Sunday night sessions. If you cannot come live, you have a place where you submit your homework. I still film your feedback when we're live. You then get to watch the replay. That's how that works. If you would like to take a class this term, you're like, but Shelley, I don't want to take START HARP 1, 2 or Flourishing. I know all there is to know about harp technique and things, and I'm really comfortable with all that, or I've done it before, blah, blah, blah. There is 2 other classes you could look at this term that are short classes. One of them is Pop with Pizzazz. So Pop with Pizzazz, I kept being asked. I used to play so many weddings and so many background gigs and do so much pop that I just became a bit of I still do love arranging pop, but I was doing it constantly. And so I got all these tricks that I realized I was doing. And I used to get asked, particularly by my in-person ensemble, Shelley, how do you think I should arrange this? Or how should I do that? Or how do you make that sound so lively? Blah, blah, blah. So we made Pop with Pizzazz, where I show you a lot of tricks. I feel like it's just a set of tricks, really, but it's not just for those of you who want to pop. For the poppers, it shows you how to use pop rhythms. It shows you how to arrange pop tunes. I give you tunes that I've written ghost tunes for, tunes that are different melodies, same chord progressions, so that you can learn ideas and styles, but we're not using original tunes for copyright reasons. And but you can always use the same ideas if you want to. And then for those of you who think, but Shelley, I'm not into pop, you might want to learn to arrange more. You might want to learn to your skills of playing by ear. It teaches you about how to listen to a recording and how to get to the point where you can start to pull things off the recording, working out the key, working out the intervals, working out the chord progression. How do we even do that? Some of us, that's a mystery. It was a mystery for me for a long time. So we go through that. Some of you might want to use electrics and you've never used electrics. I show you my very sort of hands-on, I haven't got a load of a knowledge and huge education on electrics that supports it. I give you my on the job information on that, but it's still useful because I tell you all the glitches and things I've experienced, and I hope it's useful along the way. And maybe some of you want to loop. Maybe some of you think, I really don't want to loop, Shelley. Well, we do looping because pop music and folk tunes and hymns and all those kind of things have chord loops in them. So we are using chord loops and exploring all different things you can do with a chord loop. It's like looking at a lead sheet. It's just sometimes there's only a 4 chords loop, and sometimes there's an 8-bar loop, and sometimes it's the whole song that's slightly different all the way through. But it's showing you how you can take that and loop it to be working in a duet with someone, supporting a singer. So it does a lot more than just teach pop. It's a really fun class. I love it. I'd love you to do that. That one's starting tomorrow. So the class invites are going out tonight. So you've got to be quick off the mark to join up that one. I only teach it live once a year, and there's quite a few people who are coming through, I know, with electric harps this term. So if you fancy it, maybe this is your term for that. The final 6-week class, and I will show you a little bit into pop actually, the final 6-week class is Prepare, Study, Perform, which I'm actually not promoting at the moment, but it comes, I'm telling you because I think there's people with different interests in this room. So let's go to 6-week. Here's pop actually. Let me finish on pop actually. I did mean to show you this. I will show you a lesson here very briefly. You can see week 2. It has a sneaker week of the song Leopard Leaps Tonight. Sounds a little bit the lion sleeps tonight, doesn't it? Anyway, the leopard leaps tonight, and then I give you a shape that you might use in pop. I talk about basic chords as a foundation for people who maybe don't know about them. Each week we have a pop pattern, so I teach you a special rhythm, and we talk about things. That one's the backbeat. My favourite one is Pop with Pizzazz Rhythm 1. I'll show you my Pop with Pizzazz Rhythm 1, which is the, it's good to go that, yeah. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bum, bum, bum. This rhythm, if you put this with anything, it makes it sound like you're playing a pop song. Anyway, so we do that, and then you can see there's the playing with pizzazz ideas, there's the arranging from sheet music, arranging from a recording, working with your electrics, all the things I've just covered. And again, you get videos, you get handouts, all of that. So finally, the one I was just about to tell you about, Prepare, Study, Perform. This one is a class that comes up in November. I think it's very early in November we start this as a 6-week class. And this one, maybe you think, well, Shelley, I've done all of that and I don't want to do pop and I don't want to join Coach and Connect. But maybe you are somebody who, there's a few things this works for. Number one, you might be somebody who often learns a piece but never quite gets it ready to perform. So if somebody said to you, oh, you play the harp, you might say, yeah, I play the harp. And then they say, oh, can you play me something? You say, oh, well, I'm kind of learning like several things at the moment. I can't really perform one for you right now. This class is great for that because it makes you start without knowing a piece, and by the end of the 6 weeks, perform it. And it teaches you how to get to the place where you can perform it rather than almost play it. It takes you to where you can play it. But also it helps for people who feel like you are always, and I definitely felt like this for a lot of my harp playing life, that every time I started a new piece, I felt like I was beginning from scratch. It felt like, why does this feel like I have, I don't know music when I start new tunes? Like, why am I finding the rhythm so hard, or the chords, or whatever? It teaches you how to look at music, how to think about your tunes, how to make yourself your own exercises, and have the good mindset and the good inner dialogue that's going to help you to learn well, so that you can learn any tune. It teaches you to break things down, practice strategies, mindset strategies, all of this. And actually, bizarrely, this class seems to teach lots of people over the years, actually, to have accidentally memorized even, because the way that you learn it, and I teach you to dissect your piece, and it's your piece, by the way. I don't choose what you play. Everybody learns something different, and it works. You learn to split it apart in such a way that when you learn it, loads of people find they accidentally memorize, even though they weren't going to. So some of you are like, well, I memorize easily. So that's your special strand. For some of us, memorization is not our strength strand, and so it's quite a miracle when for some people that this happens. So Prepare, Study, Perform is one that I think, it doesn't matter how advanced we are. It's a great class to take because it gets us to think like that, and it also gives us the chance to perform in front of everyone as well. So it's a really, if you don't try anything else and you think I just try one thing, loads of people tell me that it's their favourite class in the harp school. The only caveat with that would be that I think you'll enjoy it more if you've done other classes with me first, just because you understand a bit of the background to all the sort of strategies and ideas. I think there might be some questions in the chat, and I will have a look. Oh no, there isn't. Kimberly's just said you're learning, watching other students. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the 12-week courses. We talked about the 6-week courses. What about Coach and Connect? So the 12-week classes and the 6-week classes take you from A to B. You get thrown in at the beginning. You get lots of materials, you show up live, same with the 6-week classes, you show up live. And as well, if you can, or you watch the replays of the live sessions, and we move from A to B. You come out the other end and you will have made progress, you will have become, you'll have done all those different approaches we've talked about. It will have guided you, and we will have done pieces along the journey and everything. Now, the difference with Coach and Connect is this. First of all, it came out of the fact that people who'd done all my other classes were like, but what now, Shelley? So it was me finding a way I could support you guys who wanted more, but no longer needed the structure of the classes, or maybe you had particular projects you were wanted to work on. So that's one of the reasons that it exists. And so but the main thing it provides is this. It provides you with the opportunity to show up 3 times a week for Coach and Connect, to practice clubs and harp surgeries. You show up to those classes if you can. You can just do one. You can just watch replays. You can do all 3. People do everything from any of those options. And you can show me something you're learning. I will give you the feedback that you are needing. So you might be playing me something because you're going to play it in a concert. I will give you feedback that's helpful for that. You might be playing me a tiny snippet of something because you're finding a rhythm challenging. We will find a way to make that rhythm so that you can practice it and bring it another week and improve on it. You may be showing me an exercise or a study. Sometimes we have some people working through Grossi at the moment. You might play me a study so I can observe your technique. You may think, right, I'm fine at learning tunes, but I know that I'm lacking on my sound production, and so we can do that. We've had people come in. We've had Demetria, for instance, came in and did a CD project, didn't she, guys? And she used the great harp hive mind of the group, and also talking to me to help her put together her CD and create it, get it out and promote it. And it was really exciting. We've had people who've done, there was Rosie and Mike have done a project where they've written duets to play together. And so we've had, we get Sibelius open on screen share. I play something, they play something. We figure out, we jiggle things around. We've had people who've been arranging, for other projects or whatever it might be. We've had people who are doing harp therapy classes. We've had people who are coming in and, like Janet, you moved to pedal harp, didn't you, not so long ago? Kimberly, Mally just has. And so the two of you, we've gone into like looking at pedal harp, what we might do, thinking about the technique changes and all of that. So it really is very unique. Those 3 classes a week in Coach and Connect allow you to come in and ask anything and build on any project. But how do you structure that? Well, on a Monday, we have a dial-in session. On a Monday, I offer this twice, once in the morning and once in the night, my time. So there's one that's usually good for your time zone. We come in and we plan. We look at where you're at today in this moment in time. We'll be doing it tomorrow, so on Monday. Where you're at right now, where you'd like to be by the end of the week with your playing. So it might be you'd like to have learned a section, you'd like to have played a concert, you'd like to have figured out why you keep buzzing in bar 8, and you would like to have got faster with your metronome, blah. You might have made a recording, to share online. You might have liked to have looked at Start Harp 1 and had homework feedback. Whatever it is, you plan your goals. Where are you at? Where would you like to be? Then we look at how you're going to get there, what the bridge is, what the blocks might be, whether you need to bring it to practice club, whether you need to go and watch a particular video, whatever it might be. We talk through that as a group, and then we then we look at our inner child, how you're going to take care of yourself in the week, because often self-sabotaging comes from here, like I don't have enough time, or I'm not good enough to do that, or whatever it might be. There's often something that's going on that we want to create conducive conditions from our brains as well as from our space and our fingers. So we do that as well. We think about mindset. Then we write a structured plan for how we're going to practice, what it looks like, what a 5 minutes burst is going to be, how we're breaking things down, what's going to nurture our big picture, what's going to help us along the path we currently wish to tread. And those sessions, I mean, there's one person that I'm thinking of right now in the harp school who says that they only really come to that one a week. And they say it completely transformed their harp playing. And I think they're in their 3rd year of Coach and Connect. So some people only come to the dial-in and it changes everything. I had somebody new begin the other week, and they messaged me afterwards and said, wow, that was a complete like shift for me. I've already it works. It comes out of coaching teaching techniques, because I've also done a coaching course because I'm a course junkie myself. But anyway, so and it works though. It works. It takes you from A to B. And so the coaching connectors come in. They do their dial-in if they like that. For most people, a lot of you do it, I know, and it really works. Then you show up to practice club and harp surgery. You get the community, you get your feedback, you get your help and your support there with whatever your path is. Then, on top of that, which is quite enough, you don't need anything else. But on top of that, you get access to the archive of, it's like over 1,000 videos. It's Start Harp 1, Start Harp 2, Start Harp 3, Flourishing. It's 6-week course, Pop with Pizzazz, modes, harp harmony hacks, prepare, study, perform, play your harp out. You get the immersions, of which there's nearly 60 now, which are individual immersions on how to work with a metronome, or how to do cross fingering, or how to do 3 against 2. Sorry, I can't think of the right proper name for that right now. All these different niche things, or how to make your sound beautiful, or how to be, there's loads of different immersions. And so when you're in Coach and Connect, I get to say to you, do you know what? It sounds like you might really benefit from watching blah immersion. Here's the link. And there's a file you have with all the links in. Or I think it'd be really great for you to do this term. Why don't you do Start Harp 2 this term, so we can build your repertoire and work on foundations. So you get all the archive, and on top of that, even though you don't need all that, you also get to come to any of the live sessions too. So if you decide you would like to take Start Harp 2 live this term, but you'd also like to come in and have the coaching sessions and the harp practice clubs and all of those things, you can do that, but you can also then drop into all those immersions. So that's how it works. That's how it all lines up, everyone. I know now I've gone on probably slightly longer than I meant to. I'm just checking in on the time. So let me check I've looked at everything. I will ask for questions in the chat while I'm just looking here. So we've looked at Start Harp, Flourishing, Pop, Coach and Connect. Questions I'm now asking you for. There are discount codes. So if you decide you want to sign up for anything, I'm going to drop this into the chat now, but you will get this when the replay comes out. You'll get an email with this in. There are discount codes for it's not very much off the 6-week course, I'm afraid, but there's £10 off. It's better than nothing, right? There's £30 off the 12-week classes. There's £40 off the Flourishing Harpist because it's slightly more expensive. The Start Harp classes are 10 weeks of teaching with a break and a reflect, whereas the Flourishing Harpist is a full 12 weeks of teaching, so it's slightly different. You still get all the live sessions. You still get 12 live sessions for both of them, though. And then there's also a link there if you wanted to chat to me about which course might work for you if you feel this isn't enough. So if you're thinking, sitting on the fence about any of them, whether it's Coach and Connect or a 12-week class or a 6-week class, I'd much rather meet up with you and help you decide than you to feel stressed and that you might be booking something that's wrong for you. And then finally, please put any things in the chat, any questions you have. If you want to sign up, you need to go to my website. I'll screen share now again and show you. Go back to the home page and I'll screen share now. Here I am. Okay, there we are. So you go to the website. I've shown you that you can go here and you can go onto the 12-week classes, or you can go here and you can find Pop or Play Your Harp Out or Prepare, Study, Perform on modes. All of these have got, when you click on the pages, they've got that mini lesson. So that's that you can get like 8 mini lessons, I think, for free anyway on the website. Then there is then you can go here and read about the full year course. This one takes you through to a little bit about Coach and Connect, and then you can go to the shop and you can buy from here the classes. So you can click on the links here and then you add to cart what you would like, and then you can put in the discount code at that point. So it's Lucas's coupon code, and you would put in I actually don't remember what the code is, but let's see if I got that right. Yeah, I did. Look, so that takes SH30, took off £30, so it's reduced that. So that's how you would sign up to that. For Coach and Connect, it's slightly different. When you click on the links for Coach and Connect, it takes you through to Rizuku, which is where I host all the harp school, and you then can either pay a one-off payment or you can pay a monthly payment plan. So there's the two options there. And I'm keeping it till I said I keep till the end of the week. It's on a 50% reduction at the moment, but it will go up at the end of this week. So it's just, I extended it very slightly. So those are the ways to do it. You can get the free lessons on the website. You can sign up via the website. If you're not sure, book a one-to-one with me so that I can help you. And the other thing I'd say is that if anyone's ever not happy, because they feel like they're in the wrong thing, I just swap you. We just do what, or if life gets in the way, things happen. I sort it out. We sort it out in a way that we're happy. I just want you to enjoy your harp journey. If you and I are a good fit, I want to work with you. But I want to make sure that you're happy. So, I just will always make sure that you are. That's literally one of the things I love to do, isn't it, guys? Those of you who know me well. So I love writing new materials. If there's something missing and you ask me something, if I don't know, I go and ask people who do. So it's just, think of it as, I talk about it as the global harp family. You will be joining our global harp family. I love it. I love you guys. I love working with you all. It's something I could never have dreamed of it being as amazing as it is. The Fairplay Harp School was never a plan. It was always do Start Harp 1 so that people who can't play can get to play, and it's grown from there. I love it. Come and be part of it if you fancy it. Steph says, you may have already covered this. What time is the first meeting tomorrow? The dial-in. There we are. Somebody has put it in. The dial-in meeting is 9:30 a.m. and 9 p.m. her time. Yes. So Steph, you've just joined fairly recently, haven't you? So you get a what's on email, which will go out early tomorrow. But also you have the timetable, which has the time. So actually, do you know what? It might be interesting if anyone's hanging on. It might be interesting for you to have this. I don't think there's any harm in everyone having this. I'll pop it in the chat. You can see the Coach and Connect timetable, which I will drop in the chat there. I hope that's the right year because I've now done that without planning to. So I've just dropped it in. Fingers crossed I've given you the right year. And you can have the Harp School dates as well. So if that's useful to anyone, those are all the live dates and times. So Steph, that has the default diary on it. What that means is that, it always happens. I sometimes say, think of me like your mad, harpist in the local village hall. I will show up when I say I will. I will be here online, sat here waiting for you. So this is the timetable, which I've just put in the chat for you. So the 12-week classes, 6-week classes, and Coach and Connect. You can have it. It's in the chat. So download it if you feel that's of interest to you. Or drop me an email. I'll put that in the chat and I can send it to you if downloading now isn't an option for you as well. Whatever you need is fine. Right, I'm just going to check I haven't missed any questions before I say farewell. So, Steph, that's sorted. We have dial-in and Pop with Pizzazz. Starts tomorrow. So, yeah, the links for Pop with Pizzazz are going out tonight. The first live session for that is next Sunday. Where did Saturday come from? Next Sunday, as is the 12-week classes. All start next Sunday. It comes out when I'm still asleep. Sorry about that, Steph. Yes, it probably does because it goes out in the morning. I drop my children off at school, Steph, and then I send out the email and then I teach. That's how it goes. Okay. And then yes, time zones can be a factor. Okay. But also, Steph, because it's default, it's always like you've always know those classes will come at the same time. Just checking I haven't missed anything else. That's brilliant. Thanks so much for your time. My pleasure. Thanks, Claire, for coming. Definitely sign up to Brainstorm with Shelley. Yes, if you're on the fence, sign up to Brainstorm. Julie says, if you take 2, do you do it over 24 weeks or 12? So the take 2 is there as sometimes I get people who want to do level 2, but they feel they might need level 1 for some catch up. That's when it usually happens. So people take them simultaneously and they do the catch up on the level 1. So it's really designed for when you're doing 2 simultaneously. But again, drop me an email if you're thinking of something different. Thank you so much, Sarah. Okay, I shall say thank you to all. So thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Melly. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Steph. Those of you in Coaching Connect, see you tomorrow. Those of you who are going to join 6-week or 12-week, I will see you next Sunday. If you haven't joined anything yet, when you're thinking of it and you're not sure, do book that Calendly meeting with me. I will tell you what that is, I think, one more time before I leave in case I haven't made it obvious. Okay, I will put the link in the chat. I'm not sure if you know this, Calendly it's called. It's slightly weird. I'll put it in the chat. But if you know Calendly, it's calendly.com/harpist Wales.com/15. How lucky was I to get that as the domain on there? So anyway, you can click on that and book a 15-minute chat with me, whatever your thought, whatever you're thinking of doing. I just want to help you guys. So thank you again. I will leave you in peace. Nostar from Wales. Good night to all. See you, I hope, online very, very soon. Bye.